You can forgive a woman for many things, mistakes, emotions, bad days. But there are certain lines that, once crossed, change everything. Most men ignore the signs. They think staying quiet keeps the peace. But silence doesn't fix disrespect. It feeds it. This isn't about hating women. It's about protecting yourself from emotional damage that forgiveness can't fix. Because once you start forgiving what destroys your self-respect, you're no longer in love, you're in denial. So today, let's get brutally honest. Here are 8 things you should never forgive a woman for. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Because the moment you let these slide, everything changes. 1. Disrespecting you in public. Let's start with one of the biggest tests you'll ever face as a man. Public disrespect. When a woman embarrasses you, mocks you, interrupts you, or rolls her eyes while you're speaking. It might seem small at the moment, but that's the seed where every bigger problem begins. And most men, they miss it. They laugh it off. They tell themselves, she's just emotional. But here's the truth. Every time you let it slide, she learns something dangerous. That she can wound your pride and still keep your love. A woman who respects you might disagree with you behind closed doors, but she'll never humiliate you in public. Because when she does that, it's not about emotion anymore. It's about dominance. She's saying without words, you don't set the tone here, I do. And once that dynamic flips, attraction slowly begins to die. You'll start noticing subtle shifts. Her tone changes, her interest fades, and her patience disappears. Why? Because respect is the oxygen of attraction. Once it's gone, love suffocates quietly. So here's what most men don't understand. You don't correct disrespect by arguing louder. You correct it by withdrawing your energy and setting boundaries that can't be ignored. You don't have to yell. You don't have to threaten. You just have to be willing to walk away from where respect no longer lives. Because the moment she realizes you'll stay after she disrespects you, she'll never look at you the same way again. But here's where it goes deeper. Sometimes the disrespect isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet, emotional, hidden behind love. And that brings us to the next point. 2. Using your vulnerability against you. Every strong man has a soft spot, and that's what makes him human. But the wrong woman will take that softness and turn it into a weapon. When you open up about your past, your fears, or the things that hurt you most, you're giving her access to a side of you the world doesn't see. You're saying, I trust you enough to see the real me. But when she takes that trust and uses it to control you, to win arguments, to guilt trip you, to shame you, that's not love anymore. That's emotional blackmail. And the worst part? You'll start blaming yourself for it. You'll tell yourself, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. You'll close off and she'll say, you've changed. But the truth is, you didn't change. She betrayed your safe space. That's how emotional wounds form. Not from heartbreak, but from being used where you expected understanding. Here's what most men don't realize. A woman who truly loves you will protect your vulnerability because she knows it's a sacred part of your masculinity. But a manipulative woman will use it to remind you of your weakness, just to keep you from realizing your strength. And once that line is crossed, forgiveness doesn't fix it. It only resets the trap. Because if she knows your deepest wounds and still chooses to twist them, brother, that's not a mistake. That's calculation. And that's why this next one is so dangerous. Because a woman who lies repeatedly doesn't just deceive you. She slowly trains you to question your own reality. Before we go deeper, Just do one thing for me. Hit the like button. If this is already hitting something real, what's coming next will hit even harder. Let's keep going. 3. Lying repeatedly. Here's a brutal truth most men don't want to admit. You'll never see a relationship the same way again after being lied to. At first, it's subtle. She says, "I forgot to tell you." Then it becomes, "It's not what it looks like." And eventually, you start noticing that what she says and what she does never quite match. You feel it. Something's off. But every time you ask, she flips it around. You become the problem. You become insecure. And that's how manipulation begins. Not through chaos, but through calm. She doesn't need to yell or argue. She just needs to plant enough doubt in your mind that you stop trusting your own eyes. That's when you start chasing truth instead of living it. You start defending her instead of defending your peace. Here's the real danger, brother. A woman who lies repeatedly isn't afraid of losing your trust. She's confident you'll forgive her anyway. And that's when she stops respecting you completely. Most men think love is enough to fix dishonesty. It's not. Because love without truth is nothing more than emotional anesthesia. It numbs you while the damage spreads quietly underneath. So if you catch her lying and she turns it around on you, understand this. She's not confused. She's controlling the narrative. And once truth dies in a relationship, what's left isn't love. It's theater. A performance that drains you slowly until you forget who you were before the act began. But there's something even more dangerous than lying. It's when she breaks your trust over and over again and expects you to rebuild it each time like nothing happened. 4. Repeatedly breaking your trust. Let's be honest, every man has a breaking point. But before that, there's always 1,000 small moments he ignored. Trust isn't broken by one big betrayal. It's broken by a series of small, deliberate choices. When she flirts with other men, hides messages, or emotionally checks out but still expects your loyalty, she's not confused about her actions. She's confident in your forgiveness. That's the most dangerous kind of betrayal. The kind that's repeated. Because every time you forgive it, she learns that love means no consequences. And here's the trap most men fall into. You confuse patience with strength. You think staying means loyalty. But sometimes, staying is just fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of being alone. Fear of realizing the person you loved has no respect for you. Here's what you need to understand. A woman who truly respects you fears losing your trust more than she fears losing the relationship. But a woman who repeatedly breaks it